if you have a negative opinion of black men, if you look down on black men, if you don't have any hope in black men, if you think black men are naturally lacking
Mm.
of something, how then can you be trusted to raise a black boy?
Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Black Man Think podcast, where we elevate our black men because black men be out here thinking. So today, very special episode. I'm by myself right now, right? The homie Marlon, Corey, Tori, they all out. And so I thought, what better way to do this than bring in some special guests? And so today we're going to have some special guests on the pod. A couple of friends of mine. We've been on the road together. We've done music together, videos together. This guy is truly the lifeline of everything that we've done on the music scene, right? This brother has helped us build out all of if you were in Atlanta between the years of 2012 and like 2020, and you were really doing something in Atlanta on the music scene, then I can guarantee you that this guy shot one of your videos. If he didn't shoot one of your videos, he's poured into you some type of way, whether it's just talking about everything from like Caribbean culture to like truly understanding blackness and how we can get to the next level, and like just being a true black man in every Black Man Think, our podcast. This is truly a black man that's always thinking. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get him on the pod today. So without further ado, help me welcome my homie, my dog, Abib Jahleel, to the show. My guy, how you doing, bro? Welcome
Yes,
to the
sir.
pod, man. Welcome to the pod. How everything been going with you?
Everything been good, brother, man. I'm living. I'm alive. You know what I mean?
Hey, bro, that's the best way to be, man. Best way to be. Best way to be is alive and black. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for sure. Definitely.
Alive and black is really the word. So, man, like I was telling everybody, just if you were in Atlanta between 2012 and 2020, you know who this guy is. You know everything about him. And especially if you was on the hip hop scene here, you 9 times out of 10 got a video shot by him. And if you didn't, you missed out. You know what I'm saying? Because my dog said he ain't shoot no more videos. It's over with. Those days are done.
Yeah,
So if
man.
you got a Bill Jahleel video, you got something special. That's for sure.
I
But
appreciate that.
yeah, bro, absolutely. But today, man, we're more so talking about black man thinking. What we do here on this podcast is we get a perspective of the black man, right? From and what we're thinking, what we're truly thinking, what we're truly going through, every aspect of it, whether that's like relationships, marriage, fatherhood, childhood, uh, the workforce, like all of those things are wrapped in one. And we just talk about what it really means to be a black man, especially growing up in America, right? And so
Right.
um, Bib posted something on Facebook and it caught my attention. And the post was something like, I mean, well, tell us what did the post say?
So I can't remember verbatim word for word, but it was
Mm-hmm.
essentially it was posing a question to some of the sisters. I know that we have a lot of tension in our community,
Right.
particularly here in America, specifically here in America between black women and black men. And there's a lot of experiences that a lot of black women have had that have colored their opinions. And so it's kind of gotten to a place of it's gotten away from a place of we're healing and
Right.
discussing and exposing to now we are we are damning, the black
Mm.
man. He is irredeemable. He doesn't have leadership skills. He doesn't, there's all these kind of things, right? So the question that I was posing to some of the sisters, not all of them, but some of our sisters is, hey, if you, from a logical standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, if you have a negative opinion of black men, if you look down on black men, if you don't have any hope in black men, if you think black men are naturally lacking
Mm.
of something, how then can you be trusted to raise a black boy? Or how can you trust yourself, I should
To
say,
raise
to
a black.
raise
Okay.
a black boy? Like, how, if you don't have black men's best interests at heart, how can you justify and then say that you have your son's best interests at heart? You know, just because that black boy is of you doesn't mean that those preconceived, not preconceived, but those notions that you have conceived of are now are gone, right? You're still going to have those ideas about black men, and we know how psychology works, right? That is going to color the way that you raise those black boys. And the reason I ask this question is because, you know, in our communities, especially me personally, I was raised in a very Pan African, you know, Rastafari type of way and type of thought, and so we always taught that you can't let the enemies raise your children, right? Because they're going to teach them, I mean, for lack of a better word, some bullshit, right? They're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
really, they don't really care about your babies, right? And you know, for me, if you don't care about my son, or if you don't care about my babies, if you don't see my babies as your babies, then why are we even building together? I don't want to
Mm.
build a nation with somebody that doesn't see my kid as their kid, as a part of their village. So then now, as we're having these tensions, I'm looking at, you know, some of my sisters, and I'm like, yo, really, really ask yourself, you know, I understand that you're hurt. I understand that you have pain, but do you think that you can be in, that you can contribute to, or that you can be a healthy part of the black community if you have such a hatred for black men? And I
Gotcha.
think that that's something that they have to ask themselves.
So I mean, I think that it's a great question posed, bro, and I know it's one that it's a tricky question to answer because a lot of emotions are going to get tied into it, and it's also going to be one of those things where I think personally, you almost not even tiptoe in the conversation, but it's like, how do we have that real conversation without it feeling like I'm trying to put blame here or
Right.
I'm trying to down somebody there? Because I get what you're saying, right? Just to be fair, I know plenty of people who have been either done wrong by some black men
Of
and
course.
feel like I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm at my end. You know what I mean? And
For
so
sure.
I think when you pose the question that like, hey, if you're at your end with dealing with black men, for whatever reason that may be, right? You've had
Mm-hmm.
bad relationships, you may have been
Mm-hmm.
hurt, and you know, even going further down the line, like there may have been something that unlawful may have happened to you, right? Like if we want to
Right.
even go that far, you know,
Right.
how do you come to grips with all of those things that have been done to you and still look at your black son and be able to not see all the damage that's been done to you that's in your black son? You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I think
Right.
it's a great question to be asked. And, you know, it's something that I think we have to have this conversation from the male perspective, the black male perspective, only because like we don't have like a woman present to like speak on, answer the question that
Right.
we, you know what I'm saying, that we asking. And so, but I think it brings up a great topic. It brings up the responsibility of being a black man, right? Like how do we make sure we're walking with intention, walking with purpose, and like being accountable for our past, whatever that is? Because like, look, bro, we I don't know what Bill. How old are you now? You close to 40, right?
I'm gonna be 38 next in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, cool. So we all right there in that 35 and up range where we know we did a lot of mess back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But like we've grown to a point now where it's just like, all right, bro, I'm not who I was in 03, 04, 05, or 2013 for that matter. You know what I'm saying? And so,
I don't even, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even like that narrative. I don't
okay,
like that. And I'm gonna be honest because, again, this is not to place blame on anybody, right?
okay,
But I think what we have to start doing is we how do I put this? We assume a lot about black
mm,
men, and one of those is that black men is out here doing mess, and now we've grown and we've matured, and now we're sorry. And I personally think that's bullshit because a lot of people have different experiences, right? If you have bad examples of black men in your life, then it's 100% valid for you to feel the way that you feel and to explain what you
gotcha.
explain. However, there are a lot of black men, you know, who don't come up in house. Like, for instance, I have Muslim brothers and sisters. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Especially from Philly, that came up a certain way, and they don't rock with a lot of the bull crap out here in this world. You see, I come from a very specific kind of community with very specific kind of people, and character has always been something that was very important in those communities, right? I'm first of all, I'm a Caribbean man, right? My family's from Jamaica. Second of all, I'm not even like other Jamaicans because I grew up in a Rasta household and I grew up in a Rasta community. And by virtue of being in the Rasta community, I'm around Nation of Islam people. I'm around Black Panthers. I'm around the Young Lords, right? Puerto Rican Young Lords. I'm around Five Percenters. I'm around all these different kind of communities. Garifuna people, African people, African Americans from the South. And one thing that we all have in common is that we're very village-minded people. We're very community-oriented people. And so, yes, is there mess and bullcrap that goes on? Absolutely. We're young. People are young. They're still learning themselves. But also, there's a lot of people of character. And a lot of Black men also have negative experiences with a lot of Black women as well. And, it just doesn't get talked about. How often do we talk to our Black men and ask them how many of them were molested when they were young? Or how
Mm.
many of them were taken advantage of by an older woman? You know what I mean? Just to keep it specific, because I know we have other
Yeah.
instances as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Absolutely.
how often, and then even that being looked at as a good thing in certain communities or in certain instances, right? And so there's a confusion there oftentimes that when we're interacting, when Black women are talking about feeling uncomfortable, you don't think young Black boys feel
Hmm.
uncomfortable? You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
when aunties are rubbing up on their shoulder. This is one thing. I have a son, by the way. This is one thing that
Yeah.
very much so bothers me. But when older women talk to young boys that are like 4 and 5, and you're so handsome, you're so sexy, you're putting your hands on their face, you're rubbing them, you're rubbing their shoulders and all this kind of stuff. Can you be my boyfriend? Some of that stuff is weird.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. I mean, I'll take that further, bro. Like what I'm hearing you say is that a lot of times our feelings, our thoughts go disregarded. Like we're not thought about that we deal with the same issues.
Right.
It's almost like on some, hey man, you're a Black man, bro. You'll figure it out. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like, no, you got it. Like I know, yeah, yeah, you had it hard, but I need you here to protect and provide and all of those things. So deal with your stuff, which is part of the problem too for Black men because we end up dealing with a lot of our things in silence and in solace. Like we are to ourselves trying to figure out, man, why I can't express how I'm feeling, how this situation made me feel. Right. Like I know when I talk to a lot of Black men, that's one of the biggest things where we're just silent because we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have to deal with the outcome of the confrontation, right? Like we could be having all of these thoughts and we'll keep to ourselves because like, bruh, if I go down this way, it's gonna be perceived as an argument when I'm really just trying to get some understanding. Right.
Right.
So these are things that happen, especially for Black men. I can't speak for a white man because I ain't white, but as a Black man, I can tell you I've had countless times where I'm silent because not even just from a I want to be non-confrontational, but I'm silent because like, bruh, I'm trying to figure out and process what's going on up here. Right. Like I haven't had a chance to put two and two together because I'm boom. The next thing that happens, somebody's asking for me to do something over here. Somebody's asking me to do something over here. I haven't even had a time to process what happened 2 weeks ago. And a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to the time or the opportunity to process what's going on with us in general. You know what I'm saying? Let alone
Right.
some of the stuff that you spoke about. So no, I get that. I get that for sure. For sure.
I think that the root of the problem is not either or. It's not me or you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in Rastafari we have this concept of the I and I. There's no you and me, right? And so because if I look at you as you and I look at me as me, then we have no connection. And so as a
Mm.
man, if I look at a woman and I see them as a completely different creature, completely different person, then there's no connection. And so it's the I and I. So you and me
Mm-hmm.
are one. And so if we look at each other as both human beings, then we can then have a better conversation. That young boy is just as nervous as that young girl. They're both young. They don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing. They don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Why do we automatically push him to be the dominant one or to be the one that has it together? And you have to court her. You have to, I'm not saying that, because a lot of this stuff is cultural. You know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is a part of our ritual. But I think that in doing these rituals, we personify our children rather than seeing them as what they are, which is children. When I see
Yeah.
somebody that's
Yeah.
15 years old, I don't see a
As
grown
a
man
child.
that's a
Yeah.
predator. I see a child.
Yeah. As a
And I
child.
and I
Yeah.
and I see and if that 15-year-old does some predator type shit, I see a village that failed him.
Yeah.
You
No,
know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
no, you're 100% correct. I think village is important, bro, because it's all right. So we've had this conversation before on the pod, but more to take a deep dive, we kind of playfully talked about when we were kids, we used to just be gone at hours at a time, right?
Mm,
Like we were gone from the house, no cell phone, no real transportation outside of like our feet and maybe a bike, right? Like, but we would just be gone. Our parents didn't ask where we were at because they knew that if we said we were going to this spot, even if we went to that spot and went somewhere else, they had an idea of like where we at, and they knew people in the neighborhood to know like, hey, that's Justin, that's Val and Rick's son right
right.
there. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? Like, so
Exactly.
keep an eye on him. If he doing something out of order, hey, Jay, what you got going on over there, boy? Like, chill out. Don't maybe go and tell your mama. Don't maybe go and tell
Right.
your dad. You know what I mean? We
Exactly.
had that. And
Right.
now I'll keep it a buck with you, bro. Like, I had to express that to my children because they went to they had some friends from school had like like not a birthday party, just kind of like a get together. And so they had a movie night.
Yeah.
And, when I came to pick them up, they were upset because like they wanted to do a slumber party. And I was trying to explain to them like, yo, like right now y'all just too young for a slumber party.
Mm,
And they
yeah,
didn't
man.
really quite understand, my girls are 6 and 8. And I was just like, look, I get it. I know your brains are innocent and you don't really quite process the reason why you can't do this. But I was just like, baby girl, like we're just not at that stage. So I need you to be in the mindset of knowing everything that's happening around you. I don't need you
Right.
to have a childlike mind because people take advantage of children. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in today. And so, but trying to explain that to a 6 and an 8-year-old that just really think they're looking at it like, man, you killing my fun, dad. You killing my
But see,
fun.
I think, but it's not even just the 6 and 8 year olds. A lot of our grown women in our community need to understand that. Like, here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have. A lot of the women in our community, who are hurt and who do have real pain and real trauma,
Hmm.
have been put in positions of power. And the reason I have a problem with that is if someone is dealing with a particular trauma or pain that is now giving them a particular bias, you would not put that person into a position of leadership. So it's the same thing if I have a boss that's racist. Is that boss equipped to be my boss? If I'm a black man with
Mm.
dreadlocks? Probably not. Right? If I hate women and I'm your manager, am I properly equipped to manage women if I have such a disdain for women, especially black women? Probably not. So
Yeah.
why are we then now putting these people who have such a disdain for black men into these positions of leadership and expecting them to know how to lead a black man? It's just not. I'm not saying women can't lead. Most of my mentors are women. Most of my
Yeah.
leaders are women. Right now, the president of the Ethiopian World Federation is a woman. And I absolutely fall in line, right? But that person respects black men, right?
Mm.
So if,
I
if
got
these
you.
people if these people are now looking down on black men or judging black men or have an issue with black men, they are now coming with a perspective of educating black men, right? Because they don't think that we're educated in certain ways. They never assume that they themselves are not educated or don't have a certain lesson because they don't see us as being mature enough to even teach them anything. So when we're trying to teach them about the dangers of the world, right? No matter how you look at it in any kind of way, you can slice it however you want to. But if we're trying to teach you as a black man, because I know the dangers of the world, especially, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I may not necessarily know from the perspective of a woman, but I know what men are out here doing. I know what people are out here doing from a predatory standpoint. You know what I'm saying? I come from Brooklyn. Like, it just is what it is,
Hmm.
right? So I come from the south side of Atlanta, right? So I say that to say if I'm warning you about the dangers of the ills of the world and you're upset because I may be pointing out that, oh, you being dressed this particular way, X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying I hold that opinion, but I'm saying if a black man was to give that opinion about certain things, instead of listening to them like they would back in the day and actually taking that into account and saying, damn, Pops might have some game that he put me onto. Pops might be trying to teach me a lesson. Instead of thinking of it from that perspective, it's automatically defense. It's automatically, hey, you can't tell me, you can't police me, you
Oh,
can't.
interesting. Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Instead of just sitting there and understanding perspective, like, because honestly, when black women tell me a lot of stuff, I'm sitting there listening. It sounds crazy to me, but I'm gonna sit there and be like, yo, she might be up on something that I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Or there might be something that I'm missing here. Maybe she had an experience or she has experiences that trump whatever opinion I may think I have. Right. And so, if I tell you, yo, make sure you lock your door when you pull up on Union Street in Brooklyn, or make sure you do this and make sure you do that. And you like, man, you so scary. You don't think that next thing you know, somebody's busting in your car and taking your stereo. You feel me? Because you're not from here. You don't know how it go down over here. You believe in
I got you.
humanity, or you believe in some ideal that you believe in. But I'm like, bro, this ain't that. This is Brooklyn.
I got you. I mean, so I'll say, because I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think some of that has to do with just where we are now. You know what I mean? Like we're in a time, we're in a space where, let's keep it a buck. In my grandparents' era, the black woman didn't have a lot of say so, right? It was just kind of like, well, this is what granddaddy said, do. That's what's going. And I'm speaking from the people that I knew. I can't really speak for, I'm talking about my background and my upbringing, where it was just like grandparents.
I got a thought on that too, but continue.
No. I'm just speaking from, from my experience.
No,
It was
I get
just
it.
kind of like,
Yeah,
granddaddy had a family over here, a family over here, and like it was what it was. You dealt with what it was, and you kind of live how you live. Now, this wasn't my grandparents, right? Like my grandparents' situation was completely different, but I had friends and what I'm saying, other people that this was their stories, and I can't sit here and deny that was their story.
I hate
and try
that
to
narrative
treat.
too.
Well, I mean, but what's the narrative? Because I'm saying I'm giving you
No,
a bird's eye
I
view
know,
of what
I
they
know.
went through, right? So it's kind of like,
I'm gonna explain. I'll explain it.
so it's like I can't knock their experience because it wasn't
No,
my
not at all.
experience.
Not at
You see
all.
what I'm
Not at all.
saying? It's like that's what they dealt with.
For sure.
You
But
know what
I'll
I mean?
say
Like
this.
me. Go ahead.
I'll say this. So this is another thing that we do, even to our grandmothers. And I hate that we do this to our grandmothers. Now, let me validate what you're saying first. A lot of people have experienced some really terrible, abuse, or they've seen certain things and they speaking
Mm-hmm.
on that. And I'm not invalidating their experiences at all. So I just want to make that very clear. However, I think sometimes when we say those things, we invalidate, we almost, we turn our grandparents into like infants. We take away their autonomy. We see grandma as a child, so much so that we don't even assume that what she's doing is wisdom, right? We're
Okay, break that down.
kids. We're
Yeah.
kids, and we're looking at the world from our vantage point. We are projecting our values on the grandma. Because look, oh, grandma, she just listen to what grandpa say. She don't even, she don't argue. She don't talk back. We got to liberate grandma. Not knowing that grandma run that whole house. And grandma is quiet. Grandma understands psychology. Grandma's going to let him express himself or say what he want to say. But you don't see when grandma turn him the other direction and twist him around. You don't understand the dynamics of what's happening because you don't understand the intelligence of your own grandmother.
Okay.
You think
Okay.
you don't know. First of all, I don't know my mom like my father know my mom. I don't know my mom like her mother know my mom. I know my mom is mom. You know grandma is grandma. You don't know grandma as Estelle. You don't know who that woman is. You don't know how wise that woman is, how intelligent that woman is, what she's put up with, because she's not going to tell you about her life. That's why you have so many people who get online and be like, after 38 years, I found out that grandma did this and grandma did that, because you don't know grandma. Grandma's going
Is
to be,
that Is that a problem though that we
Yes,
don't know grandma?
I
We
think it's
don't
very much
know.
so a problem. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I hear what you're saying, and that's a valid point, and I think that's something that needs to be spoke upon. But when you said that, I want to stop that there because I think that is also a part of something that can help us bridge that gap and help bring us together because we don't know, right? Like there's so much stuff that we find out, like you said,
E-
38 years from now because
Exactly.
families are so quiet about everything, right?
Bingo.
We're quiet about we're quiet about the mistakes. We're
Yep.
quiet about the successes, right? Like I
Yep.
can't speak for you, bro, but like everything when it comes to finances, I had to learn a lot of that on my own. The
Yeah.
examples that I had was entrepreneur. I had entrepreneurship as an example, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure.
I didn't have how to be successful in entrepreneurship. I just had the idea of entrepreneurship as an example, but I didn't know the ins and the outs. That wasn't really talked about. Was it shown? Yes, but it wasn't a, hey, let me sit you down right here and tell you about A, B, C, Y, and D. Right?
Hmm.
I didn't necessarily get that in a complete package like that. A lot of that stuff I had to learn on my own. I have a story in my head. I vividly remember saying like at one point in time, bro, I was in college and I had like 4 credit cards, and
Yeah.
nobody told me that I was like the damage that I was about to get myself into
Right.
because, and I'm assuming, but nobody knew, or either nobody, maybe the approach was like, oh, you got to learn that on your own. I didn't have anybody that stopped me and say like, hey, you got 4 credit cards. That's cool, but let me show you this with these cards. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I mean, that ain't everybody's story, but I know that that is something that can completely shift our lineage, bro. If we just have some knowledge and conversations earlier on, as opposed to being 38, 39, 40 years old and figuring out all this stuff for the first time in real time. How do we bridge
Absolutely.
that gap and get that information and those conversations going before, we're deemed not too late, but we're starting from the bottom, so to speak.
Right. For sure. Absolutely. I think. But what I do think is though is that, well, two things. Right. Okay. Were some of us done a disservice, right, by not having that connection? Absolutely. What it also has done is that a lot of us are not built for the truth. A lot of us are soft. Let's be honest.
Mm,
Because what happens is, like, especially as black men, you get to a particular point in your life where the OGs, where the elders, they start treating you as an equal. And then they start
hmm
talking to you and telling you the truth. And if
hmm
you're not ready to have that conversation, they're gonna tell you some stuff and you're not gonna want to hear it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so same thing with a lot of women, a lot of young girls. You know, a lot of old elder women try to tell them certain things and they outright reject it because they're still thinking with a level of idealism or popular groupthink that goes against the wisdom of the elder women. And so that's why I say sometimes we kind of infantile, we turn our grandparents into infants because we pity them because we're projecting our own values onto them. We don't The fact that we don't see our grandmothers as wise, that we see them as victims, is a part of the problem, right?
No, that's
And
that's a
and
bar. That's a bar.
it is. I mean, if you really think about it, because grandpa, when again, if you're lucky enough to have a grandfather, when you get to a certain age, they're gonna keep it real with you, and they're gonna tell you about grandma, and you ain't gonna like it because that's your grandma, that's your
hmm
mom, that's your what? You talking about grandma? What? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The one that used to cook me breakfast,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No,
and then
yeah.
hug
You're
up,
right.
and he giving you game and he giving you the reality. You know what I'm saying? Especially here in America. So we don't want to hear that. We think it's abhorrent. We think it's wrong. But then we have our experiences with our peer groups, and you listen to some of our opinions, and it's kind of like, well, what makes you think Grandpa don't feel the same? He might be wise enough not to say some of this stuff,
Not to say it. Yeah. Yeah.
or he might be wise enough to understand his place as a man and to deal with certain things. And it- complaining about it ain't gonna change it. So let me make sure that I take care of my family and take care of my wife and take care of my kids. You get what I mean? So it's like it's a lot of game that these OGs have that we just ain't ready to hear yet because we still young and we still
Mm.
idealists and we still soft. A lot of us, I mean, straight up, I hate to use street
I know
language
what you're
or
saying.
whatever.
I know what you're
Like
saying.
a
Yeah.
lot of us just ain't built like that, bro. We soft as butter, and we just
Yeah.
can't hear the truth. And then when we get into the real world, we are devastated by the results, and that's why you have so many complaints going on. because people didn't want to listen to the truth, and they believed in a fantasy, and that fantasy gets shattered.
Man, that's a solid point, man. One thing I suggest people do, if you especially if you still have your grandparents, and most definitely if you still have your parents, bruh, have a real conversation with them and record it. And I
Yeah,
can say, like, I was able to do that with both of my grandmothers. I was not able to do that with my father. My father passed on. I wasn't able to do that with him, but I did it with my grandmothers. And you find out so much stuff, and it's recorded, bro. And like, you know, not even I don't even know if it's like to share on the podcast, but just to say, I talked with my grandmother, and just to know the love that she had for my grandfather, right? Like my
right.
grandfather died when my dad was 6, but we're having a conversation about a man that died when my dad was 6, like he
Mm,
died 6 years ago.
mm,
And she was just showing me and telling me, expressing all the things that this man showed her, and all the principles and morals that he gave to her. And like, my dad barely know the man. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? But she's
yeah,
speaking in a position of like he was just right here. And it gave me a different perspective of my grandma, because I was just able to look at her, like you said, I looked at her differently, because in my eyes, my grandma is like one of them women. She's always been like church, God fearing woman. Like, she one of them women. If you get to heaven and my grandma ain't there, I'm like, oh, this is something wrong. Like, something,
mhm,
she one of them type of people. But to see
yeah,
her have that type of conversation, and to see the vulnerability of her at that point, I had never seen that before ever, in my whole life with my grandma, because like you said, that's my grandma. I'm thinking about biscuits and grits and salmon. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like, that's
That's
what you see with your
grandma,
grandma.
man.
Yeah, yeah, that's grandma.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's real that you said that. You really said that.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, listen, I think that I'm about to be 38, like I said earlier, right?
Mm,
But to my elders, I'm still a child. You get
yeah.
what I mean? And so we don't realize that we're children having adult conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
We in our 20s, we in our 30s. We think we grown. You ain't 45. You ain't 55. You ain't had to
yeah.
face real consequences yet. You ain't have to stare death in the face yet. You ain't had to take care of an entire family who don't even like you
Mm,
yet. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand what responsibility actually is. And so you having these opinions that are basically just wishful thinking at this point. You
yeah.
don't know what
Yeah.
you don't know. You understand what I'm saying? And so we're so busy debating that we're not busy living. How are you living and debating? You can't do two at the same
Mm.
time.
Living and debating. Man, let me tell you, boy, I see a lot of that now.
Those
I
people
see a
ain't
lot.
living. You can't be
Man,
living if you
bro.
debating.
No, I hear that too, bro. And because you're in the content space, a lot of times people can mistake content for having opinions. But one thing that I said, whenever, I mean, I've been podcasting for a long time now. I did the math like since 2012, right? But
Hmm.
one thing that I can say, that I try my best to never get on this mic and just be talking just to be talking, right?
Hmm.
Like, I get it. The world that we're in now, like, it's the content game, bro. So I can literally I can have a conversation about anything if we want to take it there, right? Like, that's just
Right.
a part of the skill set that I have with podcasting. Like, I can talk about anything, and talk about it in a way, even if I don't have 100% knowledge on it, I can
Yeah.
talk about it enough to where I can steer the conversation into something. But I've just said, like, man, the one thing I want to do is make sure I have some authentic conversations with whoever I'm talking to. And so
Yeah.
I think that's important, no matter where the conversation goes. But like now, bro, like I'll sit back and I just watch people put stuff just to spark a debate. And then a lot of times it's not even that they care about it. It's just
Yeah.
literally so I can get you to comment, so I can get these numbers up and get these engagement up. And I get it, bro. People got bills to pay.
Yeah.
However you make your money, I get it. Do your thing, bro. But I guess that's still part of that old me, where I'm just like, man, everything ain't got to be discussed, bro. Like, some
Yo,
stuff
you
is
know
really
what?
for the group chat and group chat only. Like, everybody don't have to be going back and forth over trivial stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect example of that, right? So many people, and this is just my observation. right? Because
Yeah.
obviously I've been working in media for a long time. I've been an organizer, been in this political space for a long time. And one of the things I realized is that like people always love bringing up certain things just because it's a good conversation piece. It sounds good. For instance, a lot of people talk about the 48 laws of power,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they always discussing the methods and because it's all psychology, right? Because we're
Yeah.
having a conversation about psychology. And what's funny to me is it's like if you read the 48 laws of power, why is it that they always fail at lesson one, right? Lesson one is never outshine the master. And when
That
I
is.
see how people move, it tells me that they haven't actually read the book.
Yeah.
And the way that I'm relating that back to the main topic that we're talking about is if you're debating about certain things and you're debating about principles, you have to realize that principles are not just to be debated. You have to actually exhibit them. You have to
Mm-hmm.
exemplify them. You have to live them. So one of the lessons that OGs will always tell you is don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do.
Mm.
And so I listen to people debate and then I watch what they do. And that tells me that whatever principles that they saying that they believe in, that they don't actually believe in them. It's
You
just
don't
a good
believe in it.
conversation piece. That's all it is for
Yeah.
me. You understand what
Yep.
I'm saying? And so that's why I was like, a lot of us don't know that we're children with these opinions. We ourselves are children, And so when I talk about a lot of these women, I look at them and I say, okay, you're hurt. You have an issue. There's something that you want to heal from. And I don't want to invalidate that. But if you are still in a place where you're hurt from childhood, that is because you're still living in that moment as a child. There's something in you
Mm.
that hasn't matured yet because you're still hurt from that. How do I know? Because I know because I've been through that my own self.
Been through that
In terms
moment.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I've been through that. With my own hurt, my own trauma, whatever the case may be. I'm still living in that moment as that child, still reliving that hurt. That pain is still there. So there's certain levels of maturity that I hadn't hit yet because I had not healed from that pain, right? And so if you don't recognize that within yourself and you're still projecting, that tells me that you haven't matured yet. That tells me
Yeah.
that you haven't healed yet. So it's not to invalidate, it is just to put things in its proper perspective. I think that like you should absolutely be able to talk about your pain. You should be absolutely be able to talk about your experiences, your lack of trust. All of those things are 100% valid. But you should not be in a position where you can now give a critique on black men as a whole. I think that's wrong.
Mm. Yeah. 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 I mean, you hit the nail on the head, bro. One thing that we talk about on this podcast often is that you know black men are not a monolith, bro. We have so many outlooks on life, man. We do different things. The list goes on, right? Even if you just look at the core group, like the host on this show, right? One entrepreneur, the other one is like a very like works in risk management is like his risk tolerance is like this, bro. Like he ain't gonna go too crazy. He ain't gonna go, like that's his field of experience. Also, like he's gonna teeter the line on things. You got one guy that's like just truly gifted musician and gifted with kids, and like he's always been that type of person and always been in a leadership position. And you got another dude who's just like corporate America, dog. Like he know how to do corporate America. And you got all of these different spheres of influence, and we have all these different conversations. But the one thing that's consistent is that hey, we're black men, and like, bro, we're always thinking because we don't have time to not use this up here. We're
Right.
not in a space to where we can just like chill. You know what I'm saying? And yes, like literally we can chill, but you know what I'm saying? Like we're always in a space where we have to be using our minds in some type of capacity. And like having these type
Yeah.
of conversations, I think is important because if we don't have them, if we don't show up in these spaces and have these conversations, then the people that are not thinking are the ones having these conversations. And then you get a lot of spewed rhetoric and you get a lot of just arguments that are happening and no resolve. It's just people going back and forth just to have an opinion, but not really talking about anything. You know what I'm saying?
And it bothers me too because again, I come from a very specific kind of background, man. And sometimes when we have these conversations, I'm like, yo, y'all don't realize we at war.
Mm,
Like, why are we acting like everything is normal? Like,
yeah.
like you
Yeah.
you know that they trying to kill us, right?
Mm,
It's not just black men they trying to kill. They trying to kill black women too. You get what I mean? Like they've been trying to do that since we got here, since we was brought over here. You
mm,
know, and so it's like I don't know. I don't know. I really sometimes don't understand our focus or lack thereof because we act like everything is normal and it's not
and it's not.
normal.
Yeah,
Like we're not
yeah,
in our normal habitat. We're not in our normal spaces. We don't control our neighborhoods. We don't control our police, our hospitals. We don't control, the government. We don't control the water supply. We don't control the cobalt and the coltan that is in our phones. We don't control the education system, the education that our daughters and our sons are getting. We don't control the doctors, the medical systems. We don't control none of this. So for
yeah,
us to be sitting here acting like everything is all normal and hunky dory. Meanwhile, we're under siege, and they're getting rid of, so they've cut so many federal jobs for black women and black men. They've deported so many, black women and black men back to the Caribbean or to Africa. They've arrested our sons and our daughters. I mean, like I could go on and on and on, like of what's
yeah.
going
No, I
on for
feel
our
you.
communities, and that's always been going on in our communities. So when we
Yeah,
have these conversations as if everything is just normal and hunky dory, I'm like, bro, how can we trust you to have our community's best interests at heart if this is how you feel, right? Like you
mm,
have to be real with yourself for a moment, right? If you hate black men, why would I let you in my community? If
mm.
you hate black women,
Why would I
why would
let
I
you in my
let you in?
community?
It
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense. I'm a black man, right? One day I might have a daughter. I don't want you around my daughter if you hate black women.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I
yeah.
don't want you
One hundred
around my
percent.
son if you hate black men. We just got to be real about that, right? Like it's not to disparage these women in any kind of negative way, but just really sit there and think to yourself, how can you contribute to the black community if you hate the black community?
Yeah, bro. That's real.
How? How? And you're telling me to trust you and to put you in leadership and to that you have my best interests at heart, but you don't think that black men are good leaders, or you think black men are terrible fathers, and you think black men are terrible this and that and the why would I let you lead me?
Yeah. That's man, bro. You talking right now, and it's so important that we. It's so important that people hear what you're saying because just to the core, if you don't love yourself, then how can where we going from that? You know what I'm saying?
It
Like
doesn't make
like
any sense.
literally, where can you go from that if you don't love you? Right? If you don't look in the mirror and love who you are, it's going to be very difficult to love the other person that looks like you, the other
Bingo.
person that looks like your mother, the person that
Bingo.
looked like your grandma, your granddad. Like it's going to be very difficult to love that person if you don't love yourself. So I think it starts with us. Like we got to be able to like have real conversations internally. But once we do that, bro, the next move is saying like, all right, I'm hurting. I need the therapy. I need the conversations. I need the
Yes.
community. I need the village. I need all of those things. So once I work on me and I can realize, and a lot of it, Bib, is just identifying it, I think, too.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times we just go past it. We're
Yeah.
like so, you know, straightforward, a part of the mission. I got to get the money. I got to like get the house. I got to get the car. I got to do all of the things that we
Yeah.
don't slow down and realize that like, oh no, bro, I'm hurting. I'm hurting for something that happened when I was 14.
Yeah.
And you never get past that because we're so locked in on whatever that goal may be. And you don't realize like, man, not figuring out what hurt you at 14 can hurt all of your relationships going forward. You're going
Yeah.
to have to stop at some point and resolve what happened at 14 and at least identify that it happened. Because once you
Yeah.
identify that something happened, then now we can work on it. But if we're just
Yeah.
going forward and not even thinking about it, then that's another problem. So we got to take a long look at ourselves so we can identify the problems that and the issues that we got amongst ourselves. And then once we do that and start to love us, oh bro, we'll figure the rest out with ease, man.
There's an African proverb that was going around that was very popular during when the Black Panther movie came out. Because it was in reference to Killmonger. But I want people sometimes don't understand the real wisdom that comes from this proverb. But they were saying that a child or a neglected child, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to say
Yeah,
it
yeah,
correctly,
yeah, for sure.
but like a neglected or abused child will burn down the village just to feel its warmth.
Mm,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so and so that whole concept kind of goes over our heads sometimes where, I sometimes wonder when I see these people debating on both sides. And I think to myself, like, yo, you don't have a mother, you don't have a sister, you don't have cousins. Like, where's your family? Right? If you're on these white people's internet and you're bashing black men, you don't have a father, you don't have cousins, you don't have brothers, you don't have uncles that love you, that you have to be around and interact with. You just out here as an island by yourself, just
Right,
giving
right.
just throwing opinions out into the world. You know what I mean? It's like some of these people talk like they're not around black men and black women. I'm like, well, what community did you grow up in? You must have grew up around
Mm,
white people then. If you don't, if where these like because if you're black, you must come from community, and if you're in
yeah.
community, you must be around a plethora of black men and black women. I don't. There's no other way, right? So if
So
you
let
have
me
this, my bad. Go ahead.
no. So I just because you bring up something good, and I just want to before we go over that point, hypothetically, let's say for the black man or black woman that was in a situation where yes, they did grow up with all of those things, but all of those people abandoned them because that
Yes,
that is something that happened. What's the
exactly.
solution? How do we move forward from that? Like if you're dealing with the world of abandonment where you had the black mom, you
Yes,
had the black dad,
yes,
you had the
yes.
grandparents, and it was like, you
hmm
know what? I don't want nothing to do with you. How do
It
they identify and move forward?
it goes back to the proverb, right? The abused or neglected child will burn the village to feel its warmth. So
Hmm.
that person that has been abandoned by said village or they've had a trauma in their village, I mean, I don't want to. I'm trying to say this in a way that's not like accusatory,
I
but
got you.
those people are dangerous and they need to be
Mm,
rehabilitated. That's the reality. And see,
I
this is one
got
of
you.
them things that an OG would say. I'm not saying I'm an OG, but this is what an
Yeah.
OG would say, right? It doesn't sound good, don't feel good. It's not flowery,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And most people are too soft to hear that. But those people should not one be put in a position of power. Again, the
Hmm.
child is going to burn the village to feel its warmth. You are not, and it gets to a point where, and this is on us now as a community, we have to have rehabilitation as our main focus for these black people that we care about. Because if we don't, what's going to end up happening is just like in the Matrix, anybody can be an agent, and so that person is now an enemy. Again,
Yeah.
we're at war, bro. I don't like. I'm not finna sugarcoat shit. That person is my enemy at a particular point. After a
Hmm.
particular point, right? You're no longer. You're not helping the community. You are that child that will burn the village down. And I can't afford to have my village burned down, baby
Mm.
girl, baby boy. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you either get rehabilitated into the community or you gotta get the fuck out. I mean, for lack of it,
Yeah.
my sincere apologies for cursing, but like
No, no, you
it's just
good. You
simple. It's
good.
just I'm very, very clear on because you're not. I don't care if, who hurt you. You're not coming around my son,
Hmm.
right?
We got
Hurt
the
people hurt.
rehabilitation got to come first. Like that has
You're
to
not.
happen first. Yeah.
You're not coming around my son. I
Yeah.
don't know
No,
you.
I feel that.
I don't
Yeah.
know what kind of warped ideas you have. I don't know what you'll say to my son, what you'll do to my son. Nah, you're not coming around my son,
Yeah.
especially if you hate him. No,
No,
I
that
don't. I
man,
don't.
bro. That's what man. And I try to, I get everything you're saying because I try to have those same conversations with my children. I just let them know, like, hey, my kids think they're on now. It's just like, Dad, we've been to all of our friends' house, but they ain't been to our house. And I was like, that's for a reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'll tell them, they'll say, like, oh, Dad, the only people that's been to our house is like your friends' kids. I was like, yeah, for a reason. Like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
and not saying that it won't ever happen, but I'm just like, look, there's a process. Right
hmm
now, we vetting everybody.
Yep.
And until they vet it, you know what I'm saying? You just gonna
Straight
have to
up.
deal with that. You just got to deal with that. And I'm sorry. You'll understand later on. I have to deal with that. But right now, everybody getting vetted. You know?
I I can't protect my child with opinions. I can protect my child with procedures.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And there's a procedure. and there's a process. I can't have an opinion and that be enough to protect my child. You know, I
Yeah.
can't just believe in the goodness of people and that's enough to protect my child. That's foolishness.
Nah, bro. We ain't doing that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So your opinion is invalid when it comes to the protection of my child. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
you. And if I do know you, that's because you've been through a process.
That's my kid trying to walk in now while I'm recording. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. But with that being said, look, man, bro, I appreciate you being on here. We I don't know if you got some more time. We may go over Patreon and talk for a little bit if you got a few extra minutes. We go
I got
over
a few
Patreon and
extra
have
minutes here for sure. I got like
okay, cool.
10 more minutes. You do that.
Cool. 10 more minutes. I got 10 more minutes with Bill. So look, if y'all want to have that conversation, y'all come on over to Patreon. Y'all go to patreon.com/blackmanthink. And me and Bill, we'll have a little extra talk. We might talk about some of the good old days and all that good stuff.
Word up.
You never know. You never know, man. So I appreciate you, Bill. Let the people know how can they connect with you. What's the best way that they can reach out if they want to reach out? All things social media.
You can reach out via Instagram at icreateart.atl, at email by Abib Jahleel, so that's ABIB JAHLEEL at jacreatesart.com. That's JAHCREATES art.com. Yeah, I think that's probably the two best ways to get in contact with me for now.
Yeah, we'll put it all in the show notes too. So I know he read a lot of stuff. Y'all ain't gonna remember all that. We'll put it in the show notes. So
Word,
y'all can
word.
click on it. Like always, man, we appreciate y'all. And remember, look, Black Man Think podcast, where we elevate our black men because black men be out here thinking. We'll see y'all next week.
The Black Men Think Podcast.